tonight under partly cloudy skies, winds out of the northwest 5 to 10 miles an hour. Daytime highs approaching 10 above tomorrow, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Partly cloudy skies tomorrow night, lows level off around 1 below. That's your forecast on Kim Radio, talk that matters, currently near zero.
This is where South Dakota sports fans come for real South Dakota sports talk. Welcome to SD Sports Buzz Tonight with Nate Brown. From East River to West River, high school to college to the pros. This is your sports talk show that covers it all. And now, on Kim Radio, talk that matters, the host of SD Sports Buzz Tonight, here's Nate Brown.
Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome back into South Dakota's Sports Talk Show, live and local on 106.7 FM Kim Talk Radio, 1150 AM. Also online streaming at sdsportsbuzz.com. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. We've got it all covered. We haven't been on for a while, I'll tell you. We took a little holiday hiatus, and now everybody's back to the real world, and we are back in South Dakota Sports Talk. And a jam-packed lineup tonight. We'll go regional. Good, got some good stuff going on with our Denver Broncos beat writer down in Denver, Doug Ottewill, with Mile High Sports coming on shortly in Denver. Of course, the Broncos. The big news there is Gary Kubiak no longer going to be the head coach due to the health situation he's been battling over the years, and it just got that much worse this year. So the Broncos going to be looking for a new head coach, and it'll be really interesting to see who are the real options there, and we'll get down to Denver and get a live report from Doug Ottewill with Mile High Sports. Also, into South Dakota Sports Talk, some interesting stuff to cover tonight, including the next round of the state events, the state tournaments, things of that nature, the site selection committee, which was just put together over the past couple of years with the Activities Association in Pierre. They put together the state tournament site selection committee. And there's a couple of West River representatives on that, Darren Paulson, the AD at Rapid City Central, and Steve Morford, who's the chair of the committee. He's the principal up in Spearfish, and Steve will join us tonight. They just had a meeting a couple of weeks ago to talk about the next round of state events and where those are going to be. And we want to get his thoughts on this because it was something that's come up here the last couple of years in a very big way in South Dakota high school athletics, where these state events are going to be. And it's been a big topic with Sioux Falls being very aggressive with their facilities and the Pentagon, and you have the Premier Center and all these things that have been going on over there over the years. They now are talking about, well, maybe we want everything, right? And that's been discussed. This state site selection committee has been put together to see just how viable it is to continue to have state tournaments in Aberdeen and Huron and places like that. I will have to tell you, Rapid City, I don't think is in danger. I really don't think so. The Civic Center is a great facility, especially for the combined state tournament, which we're going to see this upcoming season here in basketball. We're going to see our first combined state tournament with in the ice arena, in the Barnett Arena. It'll be really interesting to see how that all pans out. They did it last year in Sioux Falls, and now we're going to see it here in Rapid City this upcoming season. So I don't think Rapid City is going to really be in danger there, as kind of people were insinuating over the years. People say, well, maybe everything will go to Sioux Falls, and it was talked about from a revenue standpoint that the Activities Association makes so much more revenue when the state tournament, for example, is in Sioux Falls, especially on the AA side. They really do, but I really don't think you're going to get to the point where Rapid City is going to not be hosting state events like that. We'll talk to Steve Morford, who's the chair of that site selection committee in Spearfish tonight, to get his thoughts as they talked about the next round and where they're going to go from here. Also into basketball tonight, let's get you covered from the college level. Coach Jason Henry on tonight, South Dakota School of Mines head coach. The Hard Rockers are 4-4 in the RMAC Conference, right in the thick. If the tournament, the postseason tournament started today, the Hard Rockers would be in. Good strides being made by Coach Henry and the Hard Rockers on the men's side. We'll talk to him as they are at home this weekend for two battles, Friday and Saturday in the RMAC. Jason Henry on tap. Into the high school scene tonight, Stevens Raider head boys coach Chris Stabner, St. Thomas More head boys coach Dave Hollenbeck, Rapid City Central head boys coach T.J. Hay, and of course our favorite guest. And that's dangerous to say, I understand. I understand. It's dangerous to say. Favorite guest, fan favorite. Maybe I'll say that. Patrick Duffy on the program. We haven't talked to him for a while. Patrick Duffy with Black Hills Fox TV, KEVN. So a big lineup, a jam-packed lineup. We'll get to it. First, I want to get to the opening buzz. It is SD Sports Buzz tonight, here with Nate Brown, presented by Save-A-Lot Food Stores on East St. Patrick Street in Rapid City. The opening buzz, something I want to comment on. We always get you plugged in on what's happening here. I find it really interesting that the Rapid City Stevens boys, who, by the way, just blew out Spearfish last night. I mean, it wasn't even close. It was a running clock scenario. The Raider boys are now 3-1, and I find it really interesting. They beat Sioux Falls, Washington, who was a preseason ranked number 1 team in South Dakota high school basketball, and then the Raiders jumped up to number 1 in a lot of the polls. Right? There's a sports writers poll, there's a broadcasters poll, there's these different polls here in South Dakota. You don't want to get too hung up in those, especially if you're a coach or a player and things like this. But guys like me, I can get hung up in this stuff. That's my job. I love looking at this stuff. So the Raiders beat Washington, and it was a surprise at home that first game, right? Everybody was just shocked, and they beat Washington easily. And then the Raiders jumped to number 1 in the polls, in a lot of these polls. Then they go over East River. In one of the tougher road trips you're going to see, they have to go to Sioux Falls Roosevelt first and then turn right around and go to Huron and play them. Huron, always a very, very difficult place to play. It just is, and Huron just really grinds you down. And that typical ESD style of basketball, really gritty, not going to light up into the scorebook anytime soon, but tough defense, really sound fundamentally in the rebounding category. All that stuff that Huron does well. They may not be the most talented, but that's been a pretty good basketball program the past 10 years. So the Raiders go and beat Sioux Falls Roosevelt. Then they lose a game they probably should have won. I will tell you that. And I think Chris Stabner, who's coming on here shortly, will tell you, the head coach of the Raider boys. They should have won the Huron game. They lost by 2 on the road. They just couldn't get anything going. Only scored 47 points in the game. Lost 49-47. And I find it interesting, all these voters, I don't know if most of them are East River. I think we could probably say that. These voters in these high school basketball polls, I find it very interesting. Rapid City continues to be delegitimized here a little bit. It always starts in football, and you know, the proof's in the pudding there. We haven't had a lot to speak of on that front. But in basketball, we still aren't quite getting the respect that I think a team like Stevens should get this year. There's a lot of season left. Don't get me wrong. I get it. A lot of season left, a lot of games. But I said it early on that the Raider boys have the pieces, I think, to be a state contender. I really do, not only to get to the state tournament, but to be a legitimate state title contender. I absolutely believe that. Great, great guard play. So, long story short, folks, the Raider boys just fall off the face of the earth in the rankings that come out from the sports writers, from the broadcasters, all these guys just, well, the Raiders lose to Huron by 2, and so they just fall off the face of the map, and they're out of the rankings. And some of them, they're still receiving votes. And I'm sitting here looking at it going, so we're that quick to, move up and down. I mean, maybe falling a little bit. Yes, losing to Huron, that wasn't a bright spot. Tough game, should have won it, didn't. You're going to go from number 1 all the way out then? Not only Rapid City Stevens boys, I think, are on the short end of that whole scenario, where they just fall out from number 1, just gone. I mean, that's absurd. The Sturgis boys, I really don't know how good they're going to be in the long run, but they are unbeaten right now. They beat Aberdeen Central, who is looking pretty good. They're 4-2. They've got some pretty nice wins. The Sturgis boys are not anywhere to be found either. Never have been. I'm not sure if they stay undefeated for a couple of weeks that they'll even get in there, actually. So this goes to show you. I just talk about this, and I don't have Craig Maddock, my friend, on tonight from KWSN in Sioux Falls, so I can just be totally honest here because I don't tell him what I say when he's not on. The media, the bias from the East River here in South Dakota, the East River bias, just alive and well. Just unbelievable. The Raider boys fall off the map. The Sturgis boys nowhere to be found, not even sniffing any of the rankings or any of that. They're undefeated. They beat a team like Aberdeen Central. It's just bizarre. There's nothing going on. The only team that's getting respect, it seems, even when it comes to the girls or the boys, Rapid City Stevens girls and Rapid City Central girls, off to a pretty good start last time I checked, and you look at the numbers, off to a pretty good start. No respect, nothing there. The only team getting the respect is St. Thomas More on the boys' side and on the girls' side. But I could talk about it for a lot longer, but even the rankings in Class A boys, just off the map, just off the mark here. Sioux Falls Christian was ranked number 1. I mean, you really look at it, I don't think so. Sioux Falls Christian won the state championship last year over St. Thomas More. They lost a lot of players, did Sioux Falls Christian, and they're ranked number 1. They just got beat by 20 last night by Sioux Falls O'Gorman. Okay? So the rankings here early on, the moral of the story, sketchy. The rankings. Don't look at them. Don't put too much stock in them. They're sketchy. I'm going to tell you, who's going to be there at the end? I do believe the Rapid City Stevens boys will be in the hunt all the way. The St. Thomas More boys, we know that. St. Thomas More girls, they may have one of those record-setting years again. They're really, really good again. And don't sleep on the Sturgis boys. Don't sleep on. They're there. It's the Sturgis boys, respectable. And the Stevens and Central girls, I think, pretty evenly matched. Pretty good teams. I will say, I said it at the beginning of the basketball season, we're going to see pretty good basketball out here, West River. We're seeing it early. Not everyone around the state's quite recognizing it. Sometimes that's okay. We come right back and talk Denver Broncos head coaching search with Broncos beat writer Doug Ottewill from Mile High Sports. He joins me live next. This is SD Sports Buzz tonight here with Nate Brown on Kim Radio.
In Rapid City, you've got a friend in real estate. Hi, I'm Alan Roach. When buying or selling your home or property, Will Dixon is the man to see.
Will invites you to experience the Keller Williams culture. Whether you're buying or selling, he can assist you through the entire process with a free market analysis and advise you on all your options. Will handles all phases of real estate and has built a track record for success. Call Will Dixon at Keller Williams Black Hills, 390-1140, and let him be your friend in real estate.
2 p.m. this Monday, November 28th, McPherson Auction Company will conduct an internet online auction of the Peppers 401 Bar and Restaurant in Nisland, South Dakota. A turnkey bar and restaurant operation with nearly $150,000 in remodel and upgrades. Real estate includes 12 city lots, an entire city block, city beer and spirits license, on-sale and off-sale beer and liquor, full menu food. Open house to view Peppers 401 Bar and Restaurant from 1 till 3 p.m. this Sunday, November 27th. Auction starts to close at 2 p.m. this Monday, November 28th. Full auction details at McPhersonAuction.com.
How would you like to have your crown in 2 hours instead of 2 visits? Hi, this is Dr. Eldon Rice with Rice Area Dental in Rapid City. Technology is changing, and at Rice Area Dental, we are keeping up by using the latest state-of-the-art equipment. We offer crowns in hours instead of days. No more temporaries, no more multiple visits, no messy dental impressions, just same-day restorations.
Call us at 342-RICE. That's 342-7423. Dr. Rice Area Dental on Canyon Lake Drive, the dentist that makes you smile.
You're listening to SD Sports Buzz tonight with Nate Brown on Kim Radio. Talk that matters.
At Farm Bureau, we know life insurance might not be the first thing on your mind today or any other day, but we also know that deep down, everyone wants to do the right thing for their family, and that means protecting what matters most. You might not want to think about life insurance right now, but right now is the right time to talk to a Farm Bureau agent. We'll make it easy for you. Farm Bureau agents make insurance simple.
Call me, Tom Berger, your Farm Bureau agent in Rapid City, at 348-3470.
Make the mountains your backyard. Make the lake your pool and the night sky your high-definition television. Stop by Dakota Discount RVs today and take a look at our wide variety of new and used fifth wheels, travel trailers, toy haulers, and more. We're sure you'll find something you love at a price you can afford. We take pride in our integrity and service long after the deal, so why pay more for good memories when you can buy with a comfortable, low-pressure, locally owned and operated RV dealer? At Dakota Discount RV, we can make your dreams come true at an affordable price.
3330 East Mall Drive, Rapid City.
Welcome back. SD Sports Buzz tonight presented by Save-A-Lot Food Stores on East St. Patrick Street here in Rapid City. SD Sports Buzz tonight with Nate Brown on 106.7 FM, Kim Talk Radio, and streaming online live anywhere. You can watch the show at sdsportsbuzz.com. Quick reminder, if you miss any live guests tonight, go to sdsportsbuzz.com. Tomorrow, all the interviews posted there, archived. You can listen to each podcast at your own convenience. Coming up, we'll talk to Steve Morford tonight. Steve Morford from Spearfish. What's his story? He is the principal in Spearfish, and he's the chair of the state tournament site selection committee. And they just had a meeting a couple of weeks ago talking about the new round of and discussion of where state events, state tournaments are going to be held. And it's been a hot topic over the last couple of years since that committee was formed. We'll talk to the chair of the committee, get his thoughts as we move forward with the state events. And we look forward to the first combined state AA tournament coming up here in Rapid City at the Civic Center when it comes to basketball. The girls and boys combined coming up in March. Looking forward to it. We'll talk about that as well as they worked through the kinks last year out in Sioux Falls. And there was pretty good reviews for the most part. I don't know if people were totally satisfied with that first combined state tournament. I was a proponent of it, and I'll explain that more as I get ready to talk to Steve straight ahead. Big news in Broncos country. We all know that as we welcome into the new year with a Broncos head coaching change. Gary Kubiak's health, an issue for him over many years, and got a little more dicey even this year, and he decided to call it quits. We'll go down to Doug Ottewell in Denver, covers the Broncos, does a great job covering the Denver sports scene in general for Mile High Sports. Doug Ottewell joins us on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Doug, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm cold out here in Denver, but lots happening, so it's all good.
You can't complain, man. I think we're even colder. I mean, we are in the frozen tundra up here.
I'm
can't
sure
complain.
You are.
You can't complain too much. Here's the thing. I looked at this. Gary Kubiak's health, has been an issue, and he goes down the road of just saying, I'm just going to retire. I'm just going to take a breather. Are there any skeptics out there still, Doug, down in Denver? I mean, I'm hearing this a little bit of, this wasn't totally a health thing. Is there any truth to that at all, that things just didn't go quite as good as anybody wanted them to either? Is there any truth to that?
There's certainly skeptics. I'm not one of them. I believe that it's a health issue. I believe that it's one of those things where Gary Kubiak said, hey, I only know how to coach one way, and if I keep doing it that way, it's going to be bad on my health. And I really believe that. Now, does that mean that there wasn't choppy waters ahead? I think there was. I mean, I think, for anybody that knows Gary Kubiak, they know that he's one of the most loyal individuals in the NFL, and he was not going to, want to be a part of cutting coaching staff, which was coming down the pike. I mean, John Elway was pretty clear about that, about wanting to make some changes on the staff. So, whether or not that would have forced him out, I have my doubts. I don't think it would have been fun, and I don't think he would have been wanting to be a part of that, but I don't think that causes a guy to leave a job in which he just won the Super Bowl in a city that loves him and an organization that he's familiar with. And in listening to him and in listening to John Elway at the press conference, I really think that those guys part as friends. I don't think there's bad blood. Now, when John Elway said goodbye to John Fox, of course he's going to say all the right things, but you could tell without a shadow of a doubt that there was a pretty big rift between them. I didn't see that with Gary and John.
Yeah, interesting. That's what I thought. The health has been, well documented for Gary Kubiak, and now the Broncos have a big issue here. There's a couple issues I see it, Doug. It's the head coaching's number one, and then you look at this quarterback scenario, and I hate to say it, but we go all the way back to the beginning of the year. I said it, you've probably said it, or other people have said it too, that Trevor Siemian wasn't necessarily the answer. I don't think he is still. And there's a quarterback situation for this new head coach. I mean, we got two major things going on here at once, it seems like.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you're looking at some of the hot names that are, out there, and make no mistake, the Broncos' job is the best one on the market. I mean, any coach that's considered a hot prospect, this is the job that he's going to want, because this team's primed to win the Super Bowl, really. I mean, they're a few plays away from being there. So if you look at a guy like Kyle Shanahan, let's say the Broncos do interview him, and let's say that they really want him, and I believe he's one of the top two candidates. one of the questions that you have to wonder is how much does Kyle Shanahan wonder about or even, fear this quarterback situation, because it's definitely not anything that's set, and it's not anything that I wouldn't say anybody would have complete confidence in. Now, there's guys that like Trevor Siemian. They like a little of what they saw, but there's so many things to fix on this offense. If you're a guy like Kyle Shanahan, you're a young, hotshot coordinator, and you come into a situation like the Broncos, is it right for your offense? Is it right for your path? I mean, there's going to be pressure for whoever it is to win right away. So, kind of flipping it a little bit and say, okay, well, maybe you bring in a defensive guy like Vance Joseph. Then you're trying to figure out, okay, who's your coordinator and how can you complement a guy like Vance Joseph? So I think depending on who they really, really want, if they're looking at an offensive guy for a head coach, I think that quarterback situation is the question that's talked about a lot. And who knows? It kind of depends on who that guy is and who he likes and maybe what he thinks of Trevor Siemian.
What's the answer there? Because I've heard a couple options here as you just roll with Paxton Lynch, and I think that's a little dicey early on because he's still developing. He's not where he needs to be, I don't think. That's what it looked like. And then I've heard, well, you make a run for Tony Romo. I mean, are all the options out on the table here potentially? I don't think you're going to see Trevor Siemian as the quarterback. What if you had to put a percentage on it? Percentage that Trevor Siemian is going to be the guy as opposed to someone else?
I think John Elway was bluffing a little bit in the press conference because he came right out and said, hey, our quarterback's a position of strength. We have two guys we like. I don't really believe that. What I think, and someone asked him later on, would you rule out looking for a veteran quarterback who might see the Broncos as an opportunity? He said, no, we never rule anything out. So my gut tells me that, yeah, he is going to look at Tony Romo, and they are going to try to figure that out. But look, if you go get Tony Romo, you have a lot of work to do ahead of time. And if I'm Tony Romo, I'm going to be asking, what exactly are you going to do to fix that line? Because Tony Romo will be dead by week 3 if they don't fix that. So for both parties, I think there's a step 1 and a step 2 before you bring somebody like that in.
I do say John Elway's maybe saying, well, quarterback's a position of strength. Well, as opposed to offensive guard, tackle, and center, yes. Those are that position's pretty
relatively
solid.
Relatively speaking, sure.
Right. When you look at it, I look at the coaching. You said Kyle Shanahan, real option. They're going to interview him. Other options they're bringing in another guy on Friday, some obscure guys. Who do you think's in here? Top 2, top 3. What are you thinking?
Well, I rank them, Shanahan and Joseph, as 1A and 1B, really. I really think that those are the two guys. They're bringing in Buffalo's offensive coordinator. They're bringing in the special teams coach from Kansas City. Someone today I was on another show, and they said, I'm not even sure how to pronounce his name. And I said, well, I don't think you need to worry about it. I don't think they're going to go hire the special teams coach from Kansas City. So,
right.
A bit of it is, it's an interesting situation because inevitably when one of these job situations comes up, everybody says, oh, you should go get John Gruden, or maybe you bring back Mike Shanahan. I just don't see anything like that happening. I mean, one thing John Elway said in the press conference the other day is that he likes the idea of young and energetic, and I believe that that's true because, look, this is John Elway's team. If you bring in a John Gruden, it's going to be John Gruden's team. And I think if you had two guys of that stature in the same organization, you'd have to build out because there wouldn't be enough room for those egos in one building. So I think, you are looking at someone who's a younger guy who's going to be moldable and who's not going to come in and necessarily need to change the culture of this team because it's a winning culture. It's not a situation like Jacksonville or maybe even San Francisco where you would look to bring in strong personality to put a stamp on an organization. The stamp's already here. I think it's just a matter of tweaking and figuring out where they lacked on offense. So that's why I think, if you brought in Joseph, I wouldn't surprise me to see an offensive coordinator that comes in along with him, maybe like a Mike McCoy or somebody that has a little better grasp on the Broncos offense or has the ability to be flexible with the parts and pieces that they have. So I think it's going to be interesting. Who they hire for head coach is going to be a a really, really interesting process.
To clarify, Kyle Shanahan, offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, by the way. Vance Joseph, defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins right now. And you're thinking those two guys might be in the mix. Is there any possibility of, I guess big names you threw out, John Gruden, Mike Shanahan, even somebody like, and I haven't kept totally up to speed, like up to the minute, is Sean Payton even an option, or is he renewed? I didn't quite see. I mean, even a guy like that.
That is, I think, an interesting discussion, because there have been people that speculate that the Broncos would potentially look at a way to trade with the Saints for Sean Payton. I don't really know. I don't understand the logistics of how something like that would happen. And I think if you're, we talked about Tony Romo earlier, I think if you're going to really seriously consider something like that for a guy like Sean Payton, it's a Drew Brees, Sean Payton package, because then I see that really coming in and working, because he's already got a quarterback that he's familiar with, a quarterback that's, he's old, but he's not done. So that gives you time to groom a guy like Paxton Lynch under a very good head coach that understands offensive football. So that is a very intriguing possibility. I don't think it's as easy as bringing in a guy like Kyle Shanahan. So, I think a little bit of it's going to depend on these interviews and how comfortable John Elway is with a guy like Kyle Shanahan or Joseph, and vice versa, how comfortable they are with the situation here.
And by the way, John Elway has to have a history with Kyle Shanahan to a point, right? I mean, that's going to be a big thing. You would think that would help him.
I don't know. That's one of those things that I think people speculate on. It could be a deterrent, because it's kind of a little bit of an underground suspicion, I guess I would say, that Mike Shanahan didn't necessarily leave the Broncos on great terms. And I don't necessarily think that was a Mike Shanahan, John Elway issue, because John Elway wasn't a part of the organization. But Joe Ellis was technically the guy who fired Mike Shanahan. Well, Joe Ellis is still here. He doesn't have anything to do with the football side of things, but he's still here running the business. So there's some speculation of, hey, is there bad blood here, and can everybody sort of put bygones be bygones and let Mike's son come in and be Mike's son on his own merit and not have any, dead weight or baggage or any of those type of cliches. And I think they can, but I mean, it is something that people have talked about, as saying, hey, is Kyle Shanahan just a courtesy interview? Because if they don't interview him for this job, people in Denver will say, why aren't you interviewing Mike Shanahan's son? But I think that there's genuine interest. My belief is they have genuine interest in Kyle Shanahan, because, look, he is the hot coordinator this year.
If you had to pick, I'll let you run with that. It seems like the lean is towards Kyle Shanahan, that not who you want, but if you had to pick who the Broncos are going to pick, who John Elway's going to pick, who's it going to be?
Out here, it is really 50-50. I think most people are either Kyle Shanahan or Vance Joseph, and I personally would like to see them bring in Kyle Shanahan. I think that's what they'll ultimately do. I could be wrong, but that's where I'm leaning.
Doug Ottewell, MileHighSports.com, Mile High Sports Magazine, Mile High Sports Radio down in Denver. Good stuff, man. Appreciate it. Happy New Year. Thanks.
Hey, stay warm, Nate.
All right. Take care. That's Doug Ottewell tonight, live from Denver on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Really appreciate his time. Good insight. Good stuff right there. Really good stuff right there for Broncos fans. I look at this thing, and this is, John Elway, Lord Elway, all of this Bronco fan. You could tell I'm a little sarcastic there from the John Elway standpoint. Yes, I like John Elway just fine when he was a player, and he, got us our first Super Bowls, and it was just phenomenal. I understand, but I'm a skeptic on John Elway's football operations ability, and it'll be interesting now. Quarterback situation's a mess. It really is. The offensive line is absolutely terrible. I mean, just absolutely terrible. And the running back scenario didn't help with C.J. Anderson getting hurt and not much after that. So now you've got a head coaching vacancy and a quarterback scenario and an offensive line scenario. John Elway's going to find out, or we are going to find out, how good John Elway really is in putting together a winner, because he went from Super Bowl champion to not very good at all. I mean, I said that. When you're getting beat by the Chiefs, swept by the Chiefs, and you're really struggling like they did in some of these games against the Titans and people like this, I mean, you're just not very good, and that's what they were. The Denver Broncos went from Super Bowl champion to not very good. It doesn't shout of a great football operations guy at the top. It really doesn't. Coming right back, Chris Stabner, head coach of the Rapid City Stevens boys. Raider boys, big win last night over Spearfish as they move forward to a big weekend coming up. The matchup against Sioux Falls O'Gorman. We'll talk Raider boys basketball next on SD Sports Buzz tonight.
Kick off the new year with a new truck from Rapid Chevrolet. Lots of new, used, and certified trucks to choose from, starting as low as $6,983. This week's deals. This 2011 was traded from our customers in Faith, South Dakota. It has been well cared for, priced only at $12,983. This 2014 Silverado was traded from our customers in Piedmont, South Dakota. It's only a one-owner vehicle, priced only at $19,983. Your new road and new year starts here. Feel the difference at Rapid Chevrolet. I-90 exit 60 or shop, click, drive at rapidchevrolet.com.
Dale's Tire and Retreading has been providing quality brands of tires and excellent service to the Black Hills area for over 50 years. Dale's Tires sells tires for cars, trucks, SUVs, agriculture, construction, and more. Dale's Tire has what you need when you need it and offers appointment times to get you in and out faster. See the experts at Dale's Tire and Retreading. 2 convenient locations in Rapid City, 691 Deadwood Avenue and 3200 Campbell Street. Dale's Tire and Retreading.
Welcome back. SD Sports Buzz tonight with Nate Brown, presented by Save-A-Lot Food Stores, East St. Patrick Street here in Rapid City, for the best prices on groceries in Rapid City, and absolutely the best prices on steak, pork chops, chicken. Get into Save-A-Lot Food Stores. Save-A-Lot on East St. Patrick Street in Rapid City. Coming up, Coach Jason Henry, Hard Rocker men's coach. Hard Rockers 4-4 in the RMAC right now, right in the thick of it. Would be making the postseason tournament if it started today. A lot of season left and 2 big home games this weekend for the Hard Rockers, Friday and Saturday. We'll talk to Coach Henry straight ahead. Also tonight, Dave Hollenbeck on tap, St. Thomas More head coach, and T.J. Hay moments away. T.J. Hay, head coach for the Central boys. First, we'll go over to the other side, on the Stevens side, and the Raider boys head coach, Chris Stabner, joining us on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Coach, how are you?
Good, Nate. Thanks for having me again.
I gotta talk to you about this, and you guys don't need to get worried about this, but I can. So you beat Sioux Falls, Washington. Nobody really expected that. It was a pretty easy win, pretty impressive on the defensive side. Did some good things there. Beat the number 1 ranked team as far as the preseason goes. You guys jump up in the polls, and in some polls to number 1, and then you beat Sioux Falls Roosevelt. Then you lose a tough one that I think you probably say we should have won against Huron, but a tough place to play, and especially on a back-to-back night, the second game in a long trip over there. And then you handle Spearfish really easily last night. And I'm looking at it, though. You're 3-1. I think you're sitting pretty good. And all of a sudden the overreaction is, man, Raider boys jump up to number 1, and then they just fall off the face of the earth here after, a loss like that. Are you guys getting caught up in that at all? What do you have to tell the guys?
No, I mean, we haven't talked at all about it, to be honest. I know, my first time on here, we had talked briefly about being number 1, but since then, not a word's been said, and it's early, and we know we have a tough schedule. We probably didn't play as well as we'd have liked against Huron, but again, hats off to them. Defensively, they're really good, and especially at home. Then, of course, they go get handled last night by Aberdeen. Then, but we're just a work in progress right now, and we want to be a finished product by the end of the season.
When you look at it, you're 3-1. You have a tough go of it here early, because I just talk about the games that you have to play. You're at home against Washington; they're very good. Then you take that road trip to Roosevelt, to Huron. You go to Spearfish. Now this weekend out to O'Gorman, to Mitchell. This early part, how tough is that on the road like that? A lot of long trips, a lot of things like that. That even though they're high school kids, that still has to have an effect.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt it's a test for us. I think for us, though, it's just we want to get on the court and play. I think we had 21 days off from our first game, to our second, and now we're going to play a lot of games here. I think we got 10 in the next 15 or 16 days, and we're on a stretch here where we're away from home. But it's a test. It's an early test, but I think it's a good one for us to kind of see where we're at early on. And for us, we just want to get on the court and get better.
We'll talk about that win last night over Spearfish, won it by about 40. But it really wasn't in doubt the whole game. I look at that game against Huron, though, the game you just lost. Only scored 47 points. You only lose it by 2. It came down to the wire there. What area of concern there in that game?
Well, I think, just our shot selection wasn't the greatest. I know we didn't shoot percentage-wise very well, and Huron will force you to do that. Their defense is maybe one of the better ones we'll play all year. And I just think we need to be a little more patient. I think we were rushing some things, and then obviously the second quarter was kind of our downfall. We scored 2 points. We were lucky to even be in it at the end. But I was very proud of the way we fought back. I think we were down 13 to start the fourth, and we really battled back and had the ball with a chance to tie or win, and we turned it over. That was kind of one of our other negatives of the game. We had some unforced turnovers that just we didn't even get shots of. So
what is as much as I love the guard play you have, maybe two of the best. We talked about that earlier. Maybe the best guard tandem out there, I think. In Martin and Archambault. I mean, these guys are really good, but at the same time, is it a concern if guys are off, if the perimeter shot's not there? I mean, I know it's basketball, it's going to happen, but is it a concern if the perimeter shot's not there? We're in trouble here. We got to figure things out. Is that a concern moving forward?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we really need to get better at, and that's something we've been focusing on in practice. I think we did do a better job of that last night, is being patient and getting good shots, and being selective and making the defense work, because when we're just shooting, settling for outside shots, I mean, and we're not making them, we're usually just getting one shot right now, and for us, that's not good. So we have been working this weekend just being more patient and trying to get something to the basket, especially early. Get your confidence going, get something to the basket early, get to the free throw line, and then that outside shot's going to come instead of, your first shot being a 3 and you miss it, and then it's, and your head goes down a little bit.
Chris Stabner on tonight, Rapid City Stevens boys head coach. They're 3-1. Big weekend this weekend, and I look at that first game against Sioux Falls O'Gorman coming up on Friday, a big matchup. The Knights looking pretty good. I want to ask you about your guys. The two guys I mentioned, Martin, Archambault. These guys can fill it up in a hurry. Is it a challenge as a coach to say, man, I think I got to give these guys the green light, but as you said, maybe we can't shoot it on one pass. I mean, is that a balancing act for you as a coach with great players like that you want to go, hey, yes, take it, but, well, let's settle down here. Let's get 5 passes or something first.
Well, sure. I mean, and those two, are very smart basketball players too. So I have a lot of confidence in that. They're gonna make the right decisions as far as maybe when a quick shot's something that they can take, and when we need to be more patient. Obviously if they hit a couple shots already, I'm okay with them, taking that quick shot. But there's times where we got to grind things out, or we got to get possession, and so it's just something we need to continue to work on. And for the most part, they do a great job of kind of understanding when that is.
What'd you like about last night's 30-point win over Spearfish?
I think that what we just talked about is we were a little more patient. I think for the first time all year, we shot over 50%, and when we can do that, we're tough to beat. And not only do we, early attack the basket, but then obviously that built some confidence, and we were able to hit some threes, and we really got out in transition. I think we out-rebounded them by 10, and when we can get defensive rebounds and go, that's when we're at our best.
I'll let you run with this. Chris Stabner, head coach of the Raider boys. They're 3-1. They play at Sioux Falls O'Gorman first, and I know you have Mitchell on your way back. What about Sioux Falls O'Gorman as you've looked at the film here trying to get ready this week?
I tell you what, I don't know how we're going to defend them or how we're going to score on them. I mean, I think they got 4 guys they go 6'7", 6'8", 6'7", 6'4". So they're very long, they're very athletic, and they're number 1 for a reason. But we're going to go over there and battle. That's one thing these guys will do, is they'll battle no matter the size, no matter who we're playing. And hopefully, obviously, we're shooting well from the outside. That's going to be important, and we've got to be able to compete on the rebound. If we can defend and rebound, I think that gives us a shot. But I tell you what, they're a very good basketball team.
Sioux Falls O'Gorman just beating number 1 Sioux Falls Christian by 23 last night. It kind of gives you a sense for where they're at. Rapid City Stevens 3-1 taking on the Knights coming up on Friday. Looking forward to seeing that one, Coach. Good luck against O'Gorman and Mitchell this weekend. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Nate. Really appreciate it.
All right, Chris Stabner, head coach of the Raider boys, doing a nice job. And I still will hold Rapid City Stevens boys basketball in high regard here early on. And, everyone else is kind of saying, well, they fell off the map just after this one loss. They took them up to number 1, took them out. And don't get too caught up in the rankings. I talked about that at the opening part of this program. And I think people are overreacting a little bit. I think Stevens has the pieces. And great guard play. Looking forward to seeing that matchup. It's kind of a, on paper, size disadvantage. Yeah, you see that against O'Gorman, but it'll be interesting to see what the Raider boys can do on the road. Another tough one on the road in Sioux Falls against the Knights coming up on Friday. And then Mitchell the next day at the Corn Palace. Mitchell, not what they used to be. Okay, Mitchell's not really that program what they used to be, but still a good basketball town. Still a program that's turned out some great players, obviously, over the years, and just a consistent winning program. But see if Mitchell can get back on their feet. I think I like the Raider boys' chances there. It'll be interesting Friday. Keep your eye on that matchup. Stevens at O'Gorman on Friday. We come right back, talk more high school hoops with the St. Thomas More Cavalier boys, who picked up 2 big wins over the holiday break here. I mean, these were impressive. They were out there on the road. 2 programs in Class A that they're going to be possibly seeing here. We'll talk to head coach of the Cavalier boys, Dave Hollenbeck, next.
Looking for a winning team? Check out the Black Hills Unbeatable Tandem of Xerox and the color experts at Matheson's. Hit a home run with the Xerox Workcenter MFP today, and you'll be able to print, copy, and scan your crucial business documents and marketing materials just like the pros do. Matheson's cost per copy program is the safe play every time. You pay nothing up front for the equipment, and the high cost of supplies and repairs become a nightmare of the past. Visit the Matheson's team of Xerox All-Stars at 324 St. Joe Street, downtown Rapid City, or at mathesons.com.
In Rapid City, you've got a friend in real estate. Hi, I'm Ellen Roach. When buying or selling your home or property, Will Dixon is the man to see.
We'll invite you to experience the Keller Williams culture. Whether you're buying or selling, he can assist you through the entire process with a free market analysis and advise you on all your options. Will handles all phases of real estate and has built a track record for success. Call Will Dixon at Keller Williams Black Hills, 390-1140, and let him be your friend in real estate.
Your sports, your show. This is SD Sports Buzz Tonight with Nate Brown on Kim Radio. Talk that matters. When it comes to shopping for a used vehicle, you can find good, you can find reliable, and you can find affordable. But it isn't too often that you find all 3 in one vehicle, except when you shop at Pro Auto Care. At Pro Auto Care, all vehicles are inspected and serviced on-site by ASE certified auto technicians, so you know your vehicle will be reliable. And they're affordable, too, many priced under $4,000. Check them out at Pro Auto Care, 1891 Rand Road, Rapid City, 342-0857.
Customer service and knowledge. You expect it, and we provide it. As a general insurance agency, Fisher Rounds & Associates has aligned itself with the nation's strongest carrier networks, giving you the highest quality coverage at the best possible price. When it comes to claims or other issues, we handle everything so you don't have to. That's what we mean when we say we're at your service and at your side. Fisher Rounds & Associates, proudly serving South Dakota with offices in Pierre, Mitchell, Rapid City, Sioux Falls, and Watertown.
2 p.m. this Monday, November 28th, McPherson Auction Company will conduct an internet online auction of the Peppers 401 Bar and Restaurant in Nisland, South Dakota, a turnkey bar and restaurant operation with nearly $150,000 in remodel and upgrades. Real estate includes 12 city lots, an entire city block, city beer and spirits license, on-sale and off-sale beer and liquor, full menu food. Open house to view Peppers 401 Bar and Restaurant from 1 till 3 p.m. this Sunday, November 27th. Auction starts to close at 2 p.m. this Monday, November 28th. Full auction details at McPhersonAuction.com.
We're back on SD Sports Buzz tonight on 106.7 FM Kim Talk Radio and online streaming at SDSportsBuzz.com. Nate Brown in the studio. Coming up in hour number 2, Jason Henry, head coach of the Hard Rocker men's basketball team. South Dakota Mines at home this weekend on Friday and Saturday with 2 RMAC matchups. as the Hard Rockers right in the thick of it in the conference at 4-4. If the tournament started today, they would be in. A couple of big matchups this weekend with Colorado State Pueblo coming up on Friday and New Mexico Highlands on Saturday. We'll talk to Jason Henry on tap. TJ Hay moments away, head coach for the Central boys, and also Steve Morford. Steve Morford, who is Steve Morford? Many of you may know, but if you don't, what's his tie here? He's the chair of the State Site Selection Committee. They just had a big meeting a couple of weeks ago for the Activities Association. Steve Morford's from Spearfish. He's one of the West River representatives, and he's the chair of the committee. They just talked about where the next state events are going to be. That whole process has been kind of a hot button topic here of where the state tournaments are going to go, where they're going to be held, or the combined tournaments going to work. We're getting ready to experience our first AA combined tournament this upcoming March here in Rapid City with the AA boys and girls combined. We'll talk to Steve Morford about that whole process and where things are going moving forward. 2 West River representatives on that committee, Steve Morford and Darren Paulson over at Central, the AD for Central. We'll talk to Steve straight ahead. Back into basketball. St. Thomas More boys basketball sitting good. As you have heard over the years, it seems like they're always sitting good. 4-1 right now, getting set to play at Douglas tomorrow night. Head coach of the Cavalier boys back on, Dave Hollenbeck on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Coach, how are you?
Doing good. Thanks, Nate.
I want to look at these last 2 games. You said the challenge is in the schedule. That's what you want. You play on the road a lot. We're talking in Sioux Falls and just out of the Aberdeen Classic and the Hanson Classic and the Pentagon Classic and the DW, all these games you want to play to get you where you want to be at the end of the year. 2 of them started here with Sisseton and Aberdeen Roncalli out there in Aberdeen over the break. You beat Sisseton by 6, Aberdeen Roncalli by 8. Both games very competitive. What did you learn about your guys in those 2 games there that were battles pretty much throughout?
Yeah, one of the things, we just aren't starting very well. We were tied or down at half both games, and I didn't feel we came out ready to play right away. And to follow up, we ended up having 2 pretty good second halves. So we just need to be able to put 4 quarters together here pretty soon.
It seems like you've got great seniors on this team, there's no doubt. And some young guys you're having to throw into the mix here. Some young guys pretty early on. What are you learning about some of these guys that are young, able to step in right away?
Well, we did get some good production from some of our young guys. Cale Langdeth is coming in. He's not real young, but a junior, and haven't seen a lot of playing time, but he's doing a nice job for us. He continues to get stronger, and he's a good athlete, so we need him to continue to grow, and so he's been doing a pretty good job. Ryder Kirsch now is coming in off the bench for us. He's a freshman, and he did a really nice job this last weekend, so we're excited about him. We get Cam Fees back healthy here pretty soon. He's been sick, and Michael Eastmo came in and did a real nice job for us. So we've got some young guys that are going to have to produce for us, and so it's kind of nice to see them play well here this last weekend.
Do you think Sisseton and Aberdeen Roncalli are 2 teams that are going to be in the mix there when it comes to this new Sweet 16 scenario?
Yeah, they'll both be in the Sweet 16. I think they'll both make it. Now, whether or not they'll be able to get in the state tournament, I don't know. They're good teams, but they do have some deficiencies like most teams, but I do think they're going to be playing to get one of those spots.
Dave Hollenbeck on tonight. St. Thomas More boys are 4-1, 2 big wins on the road out in Aberdeen. Defensively, you gave up 67 to Douglas a couple of weeks ago. Then he holds Sisseton to 48, and Aberdeen Roncalli, I don't know if you want to say held them to 58. They're a pretty good shooting team, namely one of their guys that really shoots it well. Defensively, are those good numbers?
No, they're not where we need to be, but we've been able to win some games with those numbers, and we just have to continue to get better. We're not a real athletic team, so we're going to have to be very efficient offensively and understand we're going to give up some points.
On the defensive side, you've always prided yourself in keeping the game under control, especially on the defensive side. You've held opponents under 50 a lot. You think you need to score more this year?
Yeah, we definitely are going to have to score more. We have to be more efficient on the offensive end and take care of the basketball a little bit better than we have been. However, that's one stat that we're doing okay at, but I think we can get a little bit better as time goes on. Tate Maher, our point guard, is doing a pretty good job so far with the basketball, considering it's a new position for him.
I look at this team, as I said, really good guys that have been in this program a long time, and I look at just that one spot, the point guard spot, and you said we got to have a guy fill in there, and it seems like you're okay with that right now?
Yeah, Tate's doing fine, but he's going to need help from Satter and Quartermeyer to take some of the load off, and Preston Airdy's a good leader for us. He's doing a nice job, and so is Austin Hammond. They're taking care of the ball good and helping bring it up when we get pressed.
You have Douglas tomorrow night. This is a team that I think surprised a little bit, not a guy like you, but just the average fan saying, wow, Douglas, they can score, they can shoot, they're pretty athletic. You scored 81 against them. They scored 67 at your place. Now you have to go out there tomorrow. What'd you learn in that first game about these guys that you got to be ready for?
Well, they're going to get out and defend us. They want to get up in us. We had 14 turnovers, and we have to get that corrected. But they like to play an up-and-down game. So, you're going to have opportunities to score on them, and we're going to have to take advantage of it. Otherwise, we'll end up in a dogfight again.
I look forward to these games down the road, and I know you can't look too far, Coach, but as you see this schedule coming together and you look in Class A, you've seen some of these teams now. You got Madison, it looks like, on the schedule. You got some big games against some of these teams. What was your take on Sioux Falls Christian, team like that, losing like that to Sioux Falls O'Gorman last night, a team that was pretty highly regarded in Class A?
Yeah, they didn't play well. It was a lot of one-on-one basketball last night. Didn't play well. And also, I think the Washington game took quite a bit out of them. They just got done playing Washington and turned around and have to play O'Gorman, who was looking to get back at them. Sioux Falls Christian beat both Washington and O'Gorman last year, so those teams were looking to get back at them.
Do you think there's Christian, Madison, some of these same teams towards the top in Class A with you guys?
Yeah, and you're going to have to take a good look at Sioux Valley. They've got a Division I commit, a Division II commit. And now if you take a look over at Vermilion, probably the two best tandem guards in the state.
Yeah.
They've got two kids that put up 61 between them out of the total of 72 points in a winning effort. So very, very good guards at Vermilion. Dakota Valley returns everybody. There's a lot of good teams, and you can't sleep on Chamberlain. I know they haven't been the strongest in the past, but they're really good this year. Just a lot of good teams out there. T, is another one you can't with the Friedel cousins or brothers, and those guys are putting up a lot of points. So there is a lot of Class A teams that are really strong this year.
Yeah, it looks like it. It does, because it seems like people have said Class A, maybe the last couple of years sometime, well, I don't know if it's as good as it has been in the past. And there's a couple of really good teams, and then everyone else. Seems like this year Class A pretty salty with quite a few teams, 7 through 8.
Yeah, no, it's loaded. I think there's 9 or 10 teams that really have a strong chance of being there in the end. And then for us, we've got Alliance Nebraska coming up, who has one loss right now, and the only loss is to an undefeated Scottsbluff team. So our schedule is going to get real tough here in a hurry.
St. Thomas More at Douglas tomorrow, and then you talked about it at Alliance coming up on Saturday. St. Thomas More head coach Dave Hollenbeck, they're 4-1. Coach, good to talk to you. Good luck this week.
Thanks for having me on, Nate.
All right, Dave Hollenbeck tonight talking Cavalier basketball. I've said it. We'll say it. They'll be in the thick right there. New scenario this year, right, with the Sweet 16. The two teams from each region, and then being broken down based on the PowerPoint scenario with the matchups for the Sweet 16. So different scenario, but St. Thomas More will be right in the mix, and they've proven they're going to be solid. And they've got a really challenging schedule to see how good they're going to be towards the end, and you wonder if they can get all the way through this challenging schedule with one of the better PowerPoint rankings for the Sweet 16 scenario. Dave Hollenbeck, head coach of the Cavaliers, on tonight. We come right back, talk to head coach of the Hard Rocker men's basketball team, Jason Henry. A big weekend for the Hard Rockers as they come out of the break, sitting 4-4 in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, and a huge weekend here at home. Jason Henry live next.
How would you like to have your crown in 2 hours instead of 2 visits? Hi, this is Dr. Eldon Rice with Rice Area Dental in Rapid City. Technology is changing, and at Rice Area Dental, we are keeping up by using the latest state-of-the-art equipment. We offer crowns in hours instead of days. No more temporaries, no more multiple visits, no messy dental impressions, just same-day restorations.
Call us at 342-RICE. That's 342-7423. Dr. Rice Area Dental on Canyon Lake Drive, the dentist that makes you smile.
Quality and service first. Mel's Auto Body. Get a drive-through estimate or come on in. We're right here under the big red M. Over 30 years, our family has put quality and service first. We take pride in making sure you're satisfied. Quality and service first. Mel's Auto Body.
You've got it locked on South Dakota's sports talk show, SD Sports Buzz Tonight with Nate Brown on Kim Radio. Talk that matters.
Welcome back on SD Sports Buzz Tonight. It's Nate Brown, 106.7 FM, Kim Talk Radio, and online streaming at sdsportsbuzz.com. A lot of basketball talk tonight, as you might expect. Hope everybody had a nice holiday break, and now we're back to hoops in a big way. Hard Rocker men at home this weekend. Hard Rocker women and men, but we have the men's coach, Jason Henry, on tonight. The Hard Rockers at home. Big weekend, taking on Colorado State Pueblo on Friday, New Mexico Highlands on Saturday, and the Hard Rocker men 4-4 in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, right in the thick of the postseason tournament. Started today. They're in such a competitive conference this year. If you haven't watched the Hard Rockers play yet, good weekend to do it on Friday and Saturday at the King Center. And South Dakota Mines head coach Jason Henry joins us on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Coach, how are you?
Doing great. Great to be on.
I want to talk about this record right now where you're 4-4 and you don't want to get too caught up in we're in the tournament. Now we're out. Now we're on the brink and this, that. You can't get caught up in all that. But just as you sit right now, it has to feel good coming out of the Christmas break that you're right where you can be competitive the rest of the way and try and get one of those spots. It has to feel good where you're at right now.
Oh, no question. And especially to go on the road and the longest road trip against a very, very athletic team in New Mexico Highlands, coming back after break, 2 days of practice, go sit on a bus all day, and then turn around and play, early afternoon, and we didn't know how that was going to go, and we typically, don't play as well when they got good rim protectors and athletic guys, and we just shot the heck out of it down New Mexico. So yeah, coming off of that break, it was nice to be where we're at, and we put ourselves in a good position. But every game's important, and like you said, it's an extremely competitive conference, and to only have 8 teams that go every year. There's some conferences that take all their teams. There's plenty that take 8. There's few that take 10. Whatever the case is. But bottom line is, we're in one of those conferences that only takes half the teams, and you got to find a way to finish in the top half.
I look at it. You're 4-4 in the conference right now, 8-6 overall. You've got yourself in good position. Is it dangerous at all to start, picking game by game here? Oh man, we have to win this now. You want to win every game, right? But is it dangerous, or does it give you a sense of urgency with the guys to say, hey, we're right in this thing. We got to keep this thing going?
Well, I think it just depends on the team that you have. Obviously, we have 6 seniors on our team. That's been their goal. The whole time that they've been here, we haven't had this opportunity before to be in this position, and I think they can handle that. I hope that they're looking. I hope they know that where we're at. We do talk about it, but if we were trying to figure it out right now, we'd drive everybody crazy, and including our wives. So, we want to make sure that we got to take care of business, but just the simple fact that about this time of year last year, we were in this position, and maybe one win less. at this time because we came after Christmas, and that's when our guys got hurt, is right before Christmas, and we lost 10 games in a row. So there's so many things that can happen that, you don't want to start looking at each individual game. We know every game's important, but yet, for us to be there and to talk about it, I think that's a good thing for our guys, but we don't spend a ton of time on it, but it's good to be in our position.
South Dakota Mines at home Friday in a big matchup, Coach, CSU Pueblo. They've been, I don't know if you could say it a surprise or not, but they've been pretty darn good. What do you see Friday night?
I don't think it's a surprise. They're probably shooting the ball a little bit better than I thought they would this year, but they got a great post player. You basically play four guards around them, a couple guys coming off the bench that started and played 30-plus minutes for them last year. So they brought in some, so-called better guys, and that's a scary thought because they thumped us pretty good down at their place last year, and they finished in the top half and very good team. So I truly believe they're one of the top 2-3 teams. 1, 2, or 3 teams. Their only loss is in the overtime against one loss team in Fort Lewis. So we're going to have our hands full. There's no doubt about it. If people are out there, wondering what game to go to, everybody talks about the Black Hill State game and those kind of things. But we got Metro coming up here. We already had Colorado Mines, and this is probably a team that fits that bill of being one of those special teams out there that are coming to our gym, and it's a fun game to come watch.
Yeah, no doubt. I've been talking about it. Big win over Colorado Mines at home. You guys have been playing really well at home, actually. Just one blemish to Regis, who's been playing really, really well. Colorado State Pueblo Friday taking on the Hard Rockers women at 5:30, men at 7:30, and then Saturday New Mexico Highlands, who you just got done beating on the road, 3:30 and 5:30 on Saturday. I want to talk to you about the team. Everyone's going to say, well, what's the difference now between this team this year and that team last year that you said went on that 10-game losing streak? Well, this team this year seems a little different, and number one, health-wise, you're starting to seem like you're doing pretty well there, and maybe a little better from the perimeter in certain areas.
Well, yeah, number one is the health side of it. There's no question that bit us pretty good last year with losing Koulis for a number of games. Jamal Taylor, who's averaging, 12, 13 points a game, hit 6 threes against New Mexico Highlands, has 26 last year against New Mexico Highlands, just in the second half before he did get hurt. So, things change awfully quick. And then Joe Newkirk goes down with an ACL and that kind of stuff. So there's no question, health-wise, we didn't have Connor Koulis playing Colorado Mines. He got sick and only played in a couple minutes there. And that really affected us and didn't have that presence. You take out a 20-point score, 10-point rebounder, and then probably, accounts for at least another 10 to 12 points or 10 to 15 points just in the things that he does and gets 5, 6 assists. You take that out of the lineup and you're just not going to be the same team. That all being said, we definitely did bring in some shooters. We tied a school record with 17 threes down in Highlands, and that was the first game that I felt like we did what we are capable of doing. We've had plenty of open looks this year from the outside and just haven't knocked them down like I think we're definitely capable of. And I thought I was going crazy, thinking that we were better than we were or whatever the case was, and from shooting the ball, and we finally did that. So we know we can shoot the ball. We do have some new guys on the perimeter knocking down shots, and it could be a special group if we can put it all together.
South Dakota Mines at home Friday with a big one. Colorado State Pueblo comes in with one conference loss, and then Saturday, New Mexico Highlands at the King Center this weekend. Hard Rocker men's coach Jason Henry sitting good at 4-4 in the conference, 8-6 overall. Coach, thanks.
Thanks. Come on and see us play.
All right, Coach Henry tonight on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line again. Should be a fun weekend of basketball, really. I mean, Hard Rockers playing really well at home, just playing pretty well throughout. So tough to win on the road in this conference. Tough to win on the road for anybody, actually, but here at home, playing good basketball, and big matchup Friday night. Colorado State Pueblo comes in with one conference loss, and South Dakota Mines trying for the upset, I guess you could call it, to stay right in the postseason tournament hunt. Friday, 5:30 and 7:30 with the doubleheader. The women's team, Colorado State Pueblo, by the way, ranked number 9 in the nation. So I'm trying to bill Friday, I guess, maybe as a great night of basketball. Women at 5:30, men at 7:30, and then Saturday it is New Mexico Highlands, very athletic program coming in, take on the Hard Rockers. 3:30 with the women, men at 5:30 on Saturday at the King Center at the School of Mines. Back out of the high school scene with head coach of the Rapid City Central boys, giving us a Cobbler update. We'll hear from TJ Hay next.
At Farm Bureau, we know life insurance might not be the first thing on your mind today or any other day, but we also know that deep down, everyone wants to do the right thing for their family, and that means protecting what matters most. You might not want to think about life insurance right now, but right now is the right time to talk to a Farm Bureau agent. We'll make it easy for you. Farm Bureau agents make insurance simple.
Call me, Tom Berger, your Farm Bureau agent in Rapid City, at 348-3470.
Make the mountains your backyard. Make the lake your pool and the night sky your high-definition television. Stop by Dakota Discount RVs today and take a look at our wide variety of new and used fifth wheels, travel trailers, toy haulers, and more. We're sure you'll find something you love at a price you can afford. We take pride in our integrity and service long after the deal, so why pay more for good memories when you can buy with a comfortable, low-pressure, locally owned and operated RV dealer? At Dakota Discount RV, we can make your dreams come true at an affordable price.
3330 East Mall Drive, Rapid City.
We're back on SD Sports Buzz tonight, South Dakota's live and local sports talk program on 106.7 FM, Kim Talk Radio, and glad to have you on board wherever you may be streaming the program. If you're at home online, you can do it at sdsportsbuzz.com. Also, your home for all the interviews from tonight's show. If you miss anybody live, we've had a lot of guests already, a few more guests coming up. If you miss any interviews live tonight, go to sdsportsbuzz.com. Tomorrow, all the interviews archived right there. You listen to all the coaches, get a complete rundown, and get you set for the weekend. Rapid City Central boys basketball update right now with head coach of the Cobblers, TJ Hay, back on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing good, Nate. Thanks for having me.
I look at this start to the year, and it seems similar. Now, I look at it. Started off with very tough games last year, and then you put things together, stayed the course. You guys go to the state tournament. I don't think a lot of people expected it. You had a lot of basketball left here, and a really important stretch, it seems like, with a lot of games at home coming up. Kind of a key stretch, it looks like, with a lot of competitive games. What's the mentality of, you had some of these guys last year that went through this stretch, made the state tournament, so I would think the mentality is, hey, stay the course here. What's your message right now? You're sitting 1-4, not where you want to be, but season's far from over.
It is, and we've talked about that after the last couple of games. It's not about where you're playing right now; it's where you're playing in March, and we are far ahead of where we were last year. But we got a pretty significant injury that's hindering us a little bit, and we had another probable starter that's not playing this year, and so we really came, expecting to come into the season with 3 kids who had ample time last year, and we're down to 1 right now to start the season. But, we got some younger kids that are getting a lot of playing time, and hopefully it just helps build us some depth towards the end of the season. And here in another month, we'll be back to full strength.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask when talking about Caleb Walton Blandon, a great player like that. How far away are we here? I know you're not a doctor, but you got to try and determine, hey, let's get through here, and then when we can get back to full strength, how big of a difference is that going to make?
Oh, it's going to be a huge difference. Right now we just have one player who's consistently scoring, and it's hit and miss with the other 7 or 8 guys playing. It'd be really helpful to get back another consistent scorer, and we're scoring ample points. We're anywhere from 60 up towards the mid 70s, but we just have guys that aren't doing it consistently right now, except for one, and we need to. It's one thing that we really need to take care of is a little more consistent, really on both ends of the court. But we have some guys that can shoot a little bit, and in the games right now we're just inconsistent.
TJ Hay on tonight, head coach of the Central boys. They're 1-4, and I talked about this stretch, Coach. You got Sturgis, Gillette, Pierce, Sioux Falls, O'Gorman, Roosevelt, and then you take a trip to Spearfish, then you're back at home again. And this stretch right here seems like you got to get some of these here at home.
Oh, we do for sure, and we've talked about that. It's really important to get wins, if you want a situation where you get a home game or maybe 2 home games when it comes to districts, you got to win games all throughout the season. And, I think, we're probably about 3 weeks off. I mean, these next games we're going to have to play without Caleb. But, you never know what happens. Somebody breaks an ankle or breaks a foot and they're in a boot or whatever it is. So, the guys we have right now is what we're concentrating on, and we really, really just got to get better at some certain things.
You never want any injury to happen, right? But I look at it from this scenario, and I think you probably have to see it too, is, okay, we're getting a lot of these guys that maybe weren't going to get a lot of playing time or even maybe a lot of shot selections or even into the offense a lot. We're getting a lot of these role players stepping into new roles. Is that going to help you here once you get back?
Oh, I think it will for sure. It's a lot different, of course, when you're starting and you're playing a good portion of the minutes than if you're just coming off, and playing spot minutes here and there. And we got, a lot of kids that are getting, a lot of playing time. We have some kids that are playing 3 quarters of JV and 4 quarters of varsity right now. And they're getting a lot of game time in. And, like I said, you hate to have that injury, but I think in the long run, for our depth especially, I think it's going to help us.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of those things to think about, taking some lumps, but it seems like you're confident that this year's team might be in a better scenario once you get midway through the year here.
Oh, definitely. I think, even though we were about the same record where we were last year, we are strides beyond where we were last year. And part of that is we're doing the same thing. So this is the second year. A lot of those kids last year as sophomores were playing JV. We had 3 sophomores that were getting some varsity time. Of course, 2 of those aren't with us right now. But, we got, we're playing 9 kids, and 7 of those kids are juniors. I think things are looking pretty good. There's still some things that we're not getting done in a game that I think we're very capable of. And some of that is maturity, things like that. We just need to mature a little bit on the court. But I tell you what, they show up. We very rarely do we have to get on them about working hard at practice, and it's just been kind of nice. Tonight we had one of the best practices we've had all year, and it's kind of hard when you don't play for 10, 12 days, and right. They show up to practice, and sometimes they're sluggish, but the last 2 nights have been really good for us.
Yeah, there's been some gaps, no doubt, and you're in one of those gaps right now. Next game not until January 12th. You had one game over the break, Dickinson, North Dakota. A lot of people around here aren't quite familiar, and probably tough to prepare a little bit for that. You don't see them over the years, and you lose by 22. What happened there?
Well, arguably, probably the best player in North Dakota is on that team, and along with him, they got a 7-footer. So, 2 Division I athletes. They're, the 7-footer's going to NDSU. He's already signed, and the other one signed to go play at UND. And you don't have that very often in the same class at the same high school, especially that size. And they were, that team's pretty good. And and I told the kids, you look at our schedule. We have Wyoming State champion. We got Gillette coming up. They took 3rd last year. Dickinson took number 1 Minot in North Dakota down to the end. They're, 6-1.
Right.
So we're playing some really good teams, which for us, I think is going to help us in the long run also. But you also got to play good basketball against good teams if you want to beat them. And there were times, where we played pretty well the other night. We got it down to 4 at one time, had the ball, and turned it over and let them go on a 9 or 10 point run, and had a chance to get it down to 1 or 2 points and didn't get it done. And sometimes that happens with kids that haven't played a lot. And that's something the next week we're really going to concentrate on is in-game situations. We tend to take quick shots when we don't need to, and things like that. And so we're going to try to get them in situations in practice. It's more game-like situations so that we can handle those a little better during the game.
Not easy games coming up either. Sturgis, a lot of people looking at Sturgis saying, wow, look at these guys. They've, haven't maybe had the toughest schedule like your schedule, but They beat Aberdeen Central. Sturgis has been in the mix. You start with Sturgis, and then Gillette pays you a visit. That's next weekend. We'll talk about it as we move forward. Coach, I appreciate you coming on. We'll talk to you again. Thanks.
Well, thanks for having me on, Nate.
All right, TJ Hay talking Central boys basketball tonight here on SD Sports Buzz tonight and SDSportsBuzz.com. If you miss any part of that interview, go to SDSportsBuzz.com tomorrow. The TJA interview will be archived right there. Appreciate his time. We come back and talk state tournament site selection. It's been a hot button topic. Where are the state tournaments going to be? Are they going to get moved to Sioux Falls? Are they going to stay in places like Huron and Aberdeen? The chair of the committee of the site selection committee, Steve Morford from Spearfish, will join me live next.
In Rapid City, you've got a friend in real estate. Hi, I'm Ellen Roach. When buying or selling your home or property, Will Dixon is the man to see.
Will invites you to experience the Keller Williams culture. Whether you're buying or selling, he can assist you through the entire process with a free market analysis and advise you on all your options. Will handles all phases of real estate and has built a track record for success. Call Will Dixon at Keller Williams Black Hills, 390-1140, and let him be your friend in real estate.
Kick off the new year with a new truck from Rapid Chevrolet. Lots of new, used, and certified trucks to choose from starting as low as $6,983. This week's deals. This 2011 was traded from our customers in Faith, South Dakota. It has been well cared for, priced only at $12,983. This 2014 Silverado was traded from our customers in Piedmont, South Dakota. It's only a one-owner vehicle, priced only at $19,983. Your new road and new year starts here. Feel the difference at Rapid Chevrolet. I-90 exit 60 or shop, click, drive at rapidchevrolet.com.
Dale's Tire and Retreading has been providing quality brands of tires and excellent service to the Black Hills area for over 50 years. Dale's Tires sells tires for cars, trucks, SUVs, agriculture, construction, and more. Dale's Tire has what you need when you need it and offers appointment times to get you in and out faster. See the experts at Dale's Tire and Retreading. 2 convenient locations in Rapid City, 691 Deadwood Avenue and 3200 Campbell Street. Dale's Tire and Retreading.
Welcome back, SD Sports Buzz tonight with Nate Brown, presented by Save-A-Lot Food Store. Save-A-Lot is on East St. Patrick Street here in Rapid City for the best prices on groceries, discounts throughout the store, and meat cut fresh in-store daily. Great prices on ribeyes, sirloins, pork chops. Get into Save-A-Lot. Save-A-Lot, East St. Patrick Street in Rapid City. Coming up, Patrick Duffy, straight ahead. A fan favorite of this program is Patrick Duffy over the years, formerly with the Rapid City Journal, now with Black Hills Fox TV, KEVN. We'll talk a little basketball. We always have to do that with Patrick Duffy. But first, this has been one of those topics over the last couple of years since this kind of got formed and people started talking about state events and state tournaments. Where are they going to go? Where should they be? In what communities? And the site selection committee was put together, and one of the West River representatives, not only a representative, but the chair of the committee, is the principal at Spearfish High School, Steve Morford, who joins us for the first time in the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. Steve, how are you?
Doing great, Nate.
I want to talk about this last meeting. You guys just had a meeting right before the Christmas break, and kind of talking about it. It seemed, I wasn't there, but it seemed the new round of state events 2020 and 2021 we're already that far out. So before we get into all that, just give people kind of a perspective here of where we're at. We're obviously getting ready for the next combined state tournament, the AA side, boys, girls. It will be our first experience here in Rapid City coming up this March. Give me a perspective from your standpoint how the state tournament combined AA-wise, girls and boys, went last year in Sioux Falls.
Well, Nate, like any time you do something the first time, there were ups and downs of that tournament, and we took all those into consideration. And to be completely honest, the whole state and coaching staffs and the AA people aren't totally sold on that whole venue the way it has been, the way it was done last year. So the original plan was to make it work 2 years in a row and take a lot of feedback after those first 2 years, once in Sioux Falls and once at Rapid City. and then really make a decision at that point in time where that's something that we want to continue or not. And again, there are numerous benefits to that, but there are some drawbacks as well. And I think you'd hear both from the coaches, and probably the same from both communities or all the communities that are involved in that.
Do you look at this here in Rapid City? One of the differences may be, I look at the facility we have here at the Civic Center. You got the Barnett Arena, and then right connected there is the Ice Arena. Is this venue here going to be a little bit different maybe from that standpoint?
Nate, I think it will be. I was not at that tournament last year. I attended the tournaments that were held in Rapid City. So what I heard was, actually from people that were there, but the people are excited about Rapid City, and the Ice Arena is a great place to play basketball, and people know that, and I'm not so sure that won't be the preferred site of the two in some cases because of the crowd size and the seating and everything else. But it will be very interesting on how people perceive that once they show up in that venue.
From a committee standpoint, we're talking to Steve Morford, chair of the Site Selection Committee, talking about the South Dakota High School Activities Association and the state events moving forward. Steve's the principal at Spearfish High School. The rub that I've been hearing when you look at that tournament last year, the combined, I was a proponent of that. I really was. I was saying this is going to be great from the standpoint of fans, especially at the schools that the girls and the boys are in, right? Then you only have to go one time. You get to go watch the girls and the boys. But the issue there was some crossover, it seemed. People weren't able to go to one or the other, it seemed, and a lot of games in spread out not too far apart, right? I mean, there was a lot of games that had to be played, and you had to try and stay on time. Was that the big rub, that there was still people being pulled in a couple of different directions there?
It was, and that is a factor. And I think those things will be tweaked as we go through this, Nate. And again, we have to give it a chance on 2 years and take all the feedback that we can get. I am also a proponent of it. I have been to the girls' AA tournament, and sometimes, to me, it's very discouraging to those girls playing in anything maybe other than a championship game that hardly anybody's in the seats, simply because you can go to a regular season game and see more people at those sometimes because their students aren't there anymore, the parents aren't there. I'm a proponent of it as well, and I hope it goes well, to be honest.
So when you look at the tweaks, and I haven't looked into this, Steve, specifically, but trying to get game times better, is that what you're talking about?
Well, that's difficult because you never know who's going to win or lose, who's going to have the largest fan bases there. So that's tough. But as far as getting people to the events that they want to be to and not having – some of the discussion was having kids having to watch games that their teams weren't playing because and the time frame in between those are just things that if we can tweak those, I know that both John and Joe, who are in charge of those tournaments from the Activity Association's office, they want to do that if they can. Now, can we please everyone by doing those? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's one of those things, depending on who wins and who loses, that's how tournaments go. You're going to have a little bit of, conflict potentially, especially when you have the same schools in the tournaments. Is there ever we'll talk about the last meeting you guys just had, but how about the discussion of Class A boys and girls? Has there been a discussion on that, combining that scenario?
There has not been to this point.
Okay, so when you look at that, maybe not quite as much crossover, right, Steve, where Sioux Falls, Washington, and O'Gorman and some of these teams that make the boys and the girls pretty consistently. You do have that a little bit in Class A, but maybe not as much to where fan bases are probably going to go to the boys and go to the girls separately. Is that kind of the deal?
That is the deal. It's not even close. There's not very many schools, and I'll use St. Thomas more as the example, that habitually boys and girls go every year.
Right.
It's just not the issue in A. It's a different fan base. The people that do go twice, that doesn't bother them, but it's not the same parents. It's just a different thing in A, and the attendance in A is different as well. You can go down to B. It's just a different thing than the AA. When you just have the number of teams in AA dictates that more of those same schools are going to qualify for those same tournaments. especially with the playback and the way it is as far as losing one game and getting the playback in. The chances of having two Pierce, two Rapid City Stevens, or whatever that case may be is much greater than any other class.
Right, no doubt. A couple more, and I'll let you run. Steve Morford on tonight, chair of the site selection committee, working with the South Dakota High School Activities Association as they run the tournaments. Steve, one of the West River representatives, including Darren Paulson, also the AD at Rapid City Central on there. Give us a perspective of the committee, just from, the hot button topic over the last couple of years was, well, Sioux Falls has the Premier Center now, and they've got these great facilities, and they've been very aggressive on that front with, and they do a nice job running the tournaments and whatever it may be. People like going there. Well, I always made the argument, people like coming to Rapid City, the Civic Center, great facility. You said it, the ice arena, phenomenal facility. What's the feeling of the committee as far as state events in Rapid City?
Nate, I think there's a little bit of misperception. There are three board members, myself and two others, and this year that was Dr. Bardot, who represents our Native American students and schools. And when we choose those sites, it isn't as much East River against West River as most people would think, to be really honest. It's really not that way. Mo Rusink is our other board member on that committee. There are 8 total. The other 5 are all what we call tournament managers. You mentioned Darren Paulson, Rapid City. When anything's happening in Rapid City, Darren is one of the tournament managers. Mark Miley from Sioux Falls, Steve Moore from Watertown, Randy Marceau from Brandon Valley, and Gene Brownell from Aberdeen. And how they're chosen is kind of the places that their ADs in those towns that hold the most tournaments.
Right.
And to be honest, Nate, there's really not the East-West discussion that everybody thinks that there is. You can kind of say it, there's the big 5 events that we choose. Football is very easy because of the dome.
Yeah.
May become more problematic in the future with the new facility that Brookings built. And I would bet they put a push on someday at South Dakota State to get that, but it's tough to beat the dome in November in South Dakota.
Right.
You could put volleyball in that mix, in the combined volleyball tournament. 2 years ago went really well, and I think that is something everybody liked. Wrestling is in the mix. When you think of the East-West conflict, it's probably boys, girls basketball. Track is on a rotation of 2 years in the East and 1 year out here west, where we have it at Rapid City Spearfish and Sturgis.
Right.
But those are 5 of 34 events that when that committee meets that we're picking. We're picking sites for 34 different South Dakota High School Activity Association state events. It's a very complex process as far as how they're rotated. We look at venue information. We look at states, the requests that people have. Every school receives a questionnaire and what they're willing to host. We look at that. There are a set of guidelines listed in our bylaws that every host event for each one of those events, every host site for each one of those events, Nate, has to meet. We look at attendance reports over the past years, which those are a little misleading depending on who is in the tournament, as everybody knows. If we have a tournament at West River and it's 8 East River schools, the attendance isn't going to be as good as what it could be. We look at the financial things that come out of it, and to be honest, the Civic Center and the Premier Center charge more than everybody else, but they should. They're great sites for that, and we've made some different arrangements with those places too, as far as financially, that they help us out a little bit. But it's a pretty complex process that's laid out pretty well by the Activity Association, how they do that.
Is it fair to say that revenue out of, let's just say, basketball tournament, we'll just say AA, A, and B, when you're trying to pick the right locations for those, the venues, the towns, the communities, is it fair to say the revenue coming out of those tournaments based on the attendance and things like that is a pretty big factor?
It's a factor. It's not the only factor, though, Nate. And I'm going to use, for example, girls B basketball as the example. As we're both West River guys at this point in time, and I fight for West River as much as I can. When you look at that board, I am by far the farthest West River. Everybody else is in the East.
Right.
there was a call from the ADs and schools in the western part of the state that they were tired of always going east. Basically, here in Brookings, here in Watertown, those are the schools that always had that tournament. So they asked if we would consider having that 1 year, at least every now and then, out west. So Spearfish got that tournament last year's selection for 2019 and 2020. It'd be held at the Young Center. And, nobody even east complained about that because just like you said, people enjoy coming to Rapid City and to Spearfish.
Right.
They enjoy coming out here during certain times of the year because there's a lot to do and there's a lot for them to see, and it's a different place for them as well. So the east-west thing isn't quite what everybody would like to make it out to be.
And by the way, people maybe don't remember. I mean, we just had a couple of girls' tournaments in the Class A level in Spearfish before.
And people loved it.
Right. I was there. Great crowds, great attendance. Turned out very well. I'll let you run with this. What was this last meeting? On the agenda, it was 2020, 2021. Is that how far we're out that you guys were discussing?
Correct. We picked all the sites, and right now what we have for 2021, Nate, we have 3 sites selected. Those aren't public information yet as far as which one's number 1, 2, and 3. But as we go through that day, which we met on December 14th, and those 8 people that were there, we start out with the first one that happens, which just happened to be Boys A Golf. We go right down the list in order, and we start looking at all those things that I mentioned earlier, and we start picking sites. So then we come up with a number 1 choice, a number 2 choice, and a 3. And simply we do that because sometimes it doesn't work out for the first choice that we pick. Sure. Because of some conflict that site may have for the dates or whatever that may be. And on some of those, obviously, it's very easy. Right now, it's very easy to pick football. I think we're contracted for like another 15 years with Vermilion with a 1 year out. We just have to give them a 1 year notice that we're going to move that if we do, which I would really rather doubt that ever happens, but you don't know.
Right.
But sometimes there are just conflicts that come up, and we like to have a second and a third, too, in case something happens all of a sudden at a site. I'll use a golf site that something catastrophic happens that floods their course and tears a bunch of stuff up, that we have a second one in line that can step up and do that if something like that is needed during that time frame. But they are a long ways out, so also you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen in 2021 right now. None of us know that. I mean, we're only in 2017.
Right, no doubt. And since it's basketball season, Steve, I'll say, is the big question, Double A, now that it's combined in Sioux Falls and it's combined coming up here in Rapid City this year, is the big question what's going to happen there? Do we know what's going to happen there yet?
Well, I can tell you that it wasn't a consensus in that committee on that day that that's going to stay combined, and I received quite a bit of correspondence after that meeting from some Class AA folk on how that's going to proceed. Obviously, it's going to proceed again this year as being a combined tournament. But the committee that day did pick a combined location and a non-combined location if it doesn't continue that way, and we will proceed that way until we make the decision to keep it either combined or not combined. We'll pick one of each, and we do have that in place. If the state schools and the feedback that we get, their determination was that's not beneficial to athletes and coaches and schools and fans. We take all those entities into consideration. If people don't like it, we do have a plan in place that we have sites for them being separate.
Stay tuned after this March, huh?
Yep.
All right. Steve Morford putting in some good work, giving us some good information. Appreciate your work on that site selection committee as the chair, and appreciate you coming on. Really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Thank you, Nate.
All right, Steve Morford tonight. He's the principal in Spearfish and the chair of the site selection committee, who was put together and doing their due diligence and looking at all of the things that they look at. As he said, it's an extensive process to choose these places, these venues, communities, all the factors that go into it. Really good information, interesting stuff, and we get to experience this AA combined state tournament, girls and boys, this March here at the Civic Center. It'll be interesting to see what direction that goes after that. Appreciate Steve's time tonight. We come right back with Patrick Duffy, Black Hills Fox TV, live next.
Real South Dakota sports talk for real South Dakota sports fans. This is SD Sports Buzz Tonight with Nate Brown on Kim Radio. Talk that matters. Looking for a winning team? Check out the Black Hills unbeatable tandem of Xerox and the color experts at Matheson's. Hit a home run with a Xerox Workcenter MFP today, and you'll be able to print, copy, and scan your crucial business documents and marketing materials just like the pros do. Matheson's cost per copy program is the safe play every time. You pay nothing up front for the equipment, and the high cost of supplies and repairs become a nightmare of the past. Visit the Matheson's team of Xerox All-Stars at 324 St. Joe Street, downtown Rapid City, or at Mathesons.com. Listen to what Pro Auto Care customers have to say.
I go to Tom because he's there for me. I have 7 vehicles on the road on a daily basis, and I know that if something goes on, he'll fix it. He'll fix it right the first time, and if we have an issue with a part, he'll stand behind it. I mean, if we had a part fail that he installed, he'd get the new part and he would install it again, and I'd only pay for it once. Everybody that I know that needs work on their car, I say this is the only place I would go.
Pro Auto Care. Phone 342-0857, 1891 Rand Road, Rapid City.
Each South Dakota farmer operates differently, and that means that ag insurance should be as unique as every farmer in the field. Fisher Rounds & Associates gets to know you and your operation before we find a policy. That way, we can make sure you have the coverage you need. Contact Fisher Rounds & Associates and see what it means to have us at your service and at your side. Fisher Rounds & Associates, serving South Dakota farmers with offices in Pierre, Mitchell, Watertown, Sioux Falls, and Rapid City.
2 p.m. this Monday, November 28th, McPherson Auction Company will conduct an internet online auction of the Peppers 401 Bar and Restaurant in Nisland, South Dakota. A turnkey bar and restaurant operation with nearly $150,000 in remodel and upgrades. Real estate includes 12 city lots, an entire city block, city beer and spirits license, on sale and off sale beer and liquor, full menu food. Open house to view Peppers 401 Bar and Restaurant from 1 till 3 p.m. this Sunday, November 27th. Auction starts to close at 2 p.m. this Monday, November 28th. Full auction details at McPhersonAuction.com.
How would you like to have your crown in 2 hours instead of 2 visits? Hi, this is Dr. Eldon Rice with Rice Area Dental in Rapid City. Technology is changing, and at Rice Area Dental, we are keeping up by using the latest state-of-the-art equipment. We offer crowns in hours instead of days. No more temporaries, no more multiple visits, no messy dental impressions, just same-day restorations.
Call us at 342-RICE. That's 342-7423. Dr. Rice Area Dental on Canyon Lake Drive, the dentist that makes you smile.
We're back on SD Sports Buzz tonight, live on SDSportsBuzz.com and here on 106.7 FM Kim Talk Radio. Nate Brown live. Glad to have you a part of the program. Go to SDSportsBuzz.com tomorrow for all of our interviews from tonight's show. If you miss anybody live, they are archived in podcast right there at SDSportsBuzz.com. Patrick Duffy back on, a fan favorite, now with Black Hills Fox TV, KEVN. Patrick Duffy on the Mel's Auto Body Sports Line. How are you?
I'm doing well, Nate. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I wonder if I should keep on giving your employer. I mean, I wonder if that's a bad thing, depending on what you say. I'm really trying. I mean, I'm just trying. Maybe I should trying to protect you. That.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
You don't need protection, though. I want to ask you right out of the gate, basketball talk here, because I know you're a basketball guy. Your guy, Grayson Allen, for Duke, kicks another guy, that whole thing, and gets suspended indefinitely. Well, it turns out it was only one game. He was back in action tonight for Duke, and I have to say, I'm a Duke fan, but I will tell you, I'm not a Grayson Allen fan. I want to get your reaction. One game, I was thinking on myself, and I'm a Coach K guy, that just wasn't quite right, but what's your take on that whole thing?
Well, I agree with you completely. I don't think it was right. I thought the indefinite suspension would be 2 games, and then they'd bring him back. But it wasn't even 2. It was only 1.
You don't like punishing guys. I mean, you're a guy that really doesn't like punishing guys, though.
Well, but it was his 3rd one.
Right.
I mean,
right. You got to do something.
By the time that you've shown yourself to be that unrepentant of a I don't even know what word I could use here on the air without getting in trouble. Just an unrepentant cheapskate. I mean, really, I mean, you just cheat and dirty. And then, you know, and the tripping to me is bad enough by itself.
Right.
I would really be concerned as a coach or a parent, anybody in the kid's life, by the ridiculous hissy fit he threw on the bench after the tripping. I thought that was even more concerning, really, than the actual trip itself. But you know, Krzyzewski knows what he's doing, so apparently they got it straightened out.
I was a little sarcastic, I could tell, but I do say at this point, I think he's kind of got something. And I know you can be emotional when you play. I mean, you are. I haven't watched you that much, but you're emotional when you play too, and that whole thing. But it's almost like he can't quite keep it in check when he goes that far. It's almost like, I mean, I think it's a problem that might rear its head again.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think anytime I agree. I mean, I love emotional players. I don't have a problem with emotion per se, but I think that when it goes to that level, where I mean, that was I would have been embarrassed to see a 10-year-old throw a fit like that on a bench, and to see a player of the year candidate, a guy who's one of your team captains on one of the best teams in the country, do something like that. That's a big red flag, I think.
Okay, that's one topic I wanted to get you on. Now into the high school basketball scene. You probably don't follow it quite as close, but you're plugged in with these guys, and you see a lot of these players. On the boys' basketball set, I'm going to start Double-A. Rapid City Stevens, in my opinion, with Archambault, with Jacob Martin, this guard tandem here, I think Rapid City Stevens is going to be right in the thick, or has the potential to be right in the thick all the way to the end. I really think that. Is that off?
Oh no, I think absolutely. I mean, I think one, you're not looking at a very, I don't think it's a very strong Double-A year.
Right. Right.
And I don't think that there's really anybody that can take too much advantage of the fact that Stevens doesn't have any size. And yeah, I mean, when you've got two guards like that, you're going to be in a lot of games. And on the wrong night, you're just going to get blown off the floor by those two. I mean, Archambault and Martin are both, are highly skilled. They get going. If both of them get going, good luck. And even if just one of them's going, you're going to have a hard time beating them. I think anytime you've got great guard play, that's a huge advantage for any high school basketball team, and they definitely have that.
Keep your eye on this, though. You talk about size. That will be an issue, because I talked to Chris Stabner tonight. He said, hey, we're kind of relying on the perimeter shot. I mean, they're not. They're trying not to, but they are. That's what they are. So a team like O'Gorman.
I mean, if they run into the wrong team, but I don't really know who that team would be. I don't know who's got a big guy that's really going to make them pay too much for that. I mean, I would have thought, Washington is about as big, I think, as just about anybody up front.
It might be Friday, O'Gorman. Keep your eye on it. O'Gorman's pretty big.
O'Gorman and Washington, I think, are your two best teams, but I don't see why on the right night that Stevens doesn't with those two. Who I think Archambault is the best player in Double-A, and I think anytime you walk out on the court and you got the best player, you got a shot.
What about Central boys? Caleb Walton-Blandon's hurt. He's the X factor there. TJ Hay, their head coach, says we're way ahead from where we were last year. They surprised everybody when they ended up making the state tournament. The Central boys, if they get him back, are they in the mix?
As far as
state tournament,
state championship,
state tournament.
Well, I mean, everybody's in the mix for state tournament.
You think so? I don't know about that. I know they take half, basically. Okay, but
yeah, I mean, everybody's in the mix for a state tournament. You just got to win a game on the right night. But yeah, I mean, I think that if Central's healthy, they're obviously athletic. They got some nice pieces. So I think that they're definitely a state tournament team. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to let you run.
All the guys they got. I mean, they can all play good enough defense, but nobody's really bringing the same kind of quickness and strength and athleticism out on the perimeter like he did last year. So, I mean, they're a little behind there, I think, from where they were last year. But I don't think that overall that means they can't be as good a team or better than they were.
And by the way, Class A, I think Class A boys overall better. I mean, last couple of years, maybe top to bottom, not as good. I think this year, pretty good teams out there. It sure looks that way.
Well, I think I think there's a lot of parity. I think there's a lot of pretty good teams in A this year. I don't think that there's a team as good as that Christian team was last year. I mean, that was really
right. Yeah, it was kind of Christian, St. Thomas More, everyone else. And by the way, I'm going to get my wish, not your wish, but my wish is the Sweet 16. We're going to the Sweet 16 scenario, Patrick. We're going to the top 2 in each region. Then we're breaking out the PowerPoints. We're going to get the best 8 there. I mean, I know you argued with me on that for a long time. We're going to get the best 8 teams to the state tournament, so I hope you enjoy it.
You're going to end up with basically the same teams you'd end up with anyway.
No, you aren't. I mean, we'll talk about that again.
Fixing a non-existent problem and destroying regional championship games. So
man. We'll talk about that more. We'll have to take a longer segment. Good stuff tonight, man. Happy New Year. I appreciate you coming on.
Happy New Year, Nate. Anytime.
All right, Patrick Duffy tonight. Always good to talk hoops with him. Really is. Enjoy it. And a breakdown of where our teams are at here, especially on the boys basketball side this go around. We'll get his thoughts on the girls side when we get him back on. Patrick Duffy, Black Hills Fox TV, former sports editor, the Rapid City Journal. Good stuff tonight. Thanks for listening. Always appreciate you being a part of the program, and hope you enjoyed it. If you miss anybody, a lot of basketball talk tonight, as you might expect. Go to sdsportsbuzz.com tomorrow. All those interviews from tonight will be archived tomorrow at sdsportsbuzz.com. SD Sports Buzz tonight here with Nate Brown. Out the door, back next Wednesday. Better than ever. Have a great week, everybody. See ya.